And I do have 10 minutes for the presentation and then questions.
Do you have to change the slide from here?
Yes, we don't have a intro.
Good afternoon, professors and classmates. My research proposal is called The Effect of Pedagogical Translation Technique. The effect of pedagogical translation technique on a student's phonological interference of aspiration in plosive sounds and the background. This research study was carried out in the internship experience at Liceo José Toribio Medina, located in Ñuñoa, Santiago de Chile. The class here was assigned. It was a 12th grade D, which was compounded of 43 students, 29 women and 14 men. In this context, what caught my attention was that the teacher used to use a pedagogical translation technique when teaching the students the English subject. In addition, the students showed some problems with pronunciation, so because of that, what came to my mind was if there is a relation between the students' inaccuracy of pronunciation with the technique employed by the teacher. After this, it was possible to look or search in the literature different research regarding these two aspects. It was found that some researchers carry out research regarding the pedagogical translation technique and separately the phonological interference of students' oral production. They focus mainly on stress patterns, intonation, vowels, and consonant sounds. However, there was no study with focus on both phenomena, which is the aim of the present study. Here's an example that Chen and Go studied the teaching oral production regarding the strategies used by the teacher. And Bayan studied the stress patterns in Chinese students and the important role of intelligibility and comprehensibility. The general objective of this study is to determine the effect of pedagogical translation technique on students' phonological interference of aspiration in plosive sounds. The specific objectives are to identify the students' phonological interference, identify the pedagogical translation purposes, and to relate the students' phonological interference before and after the implementation of the treatment. This study has three hypotheses. The first working hypothesis is that pedagogical translation technique increases the students' phonological interference. Then the null hypothesis has to do with says that the pedagogical translation technique does not increase the students' phonological interference, and the alternative hypothesis is that pedagogical translation technique decreases the students' phonological interference. It is important to know some key concepts of this study. First of all, pronunciation, according to, do you like honey? Pronunciation are the sounds that we use to make meaning. Pedagogical translation, according to Cadford, is that one material is transferred to the same but in another language. And then interference, according to Bile, he suggested that interference is the transfer of the native language sound system to the foreign language system. Within the interference, Swan stated that Spanish speakers tend to have problems with these consonants since the aspiration, this is accent, in the Spanish sound system, so they sound as B, D, and G. What is aspiration? According to Finch, aspiration is the interval between the release of a plosive sound with the vowel sound in an accented syllable. Methodological framework. This research follows the positivistic paradigm since it is focused on gathering the objective and real data. And also follows the quantitative approach because some of the characteristics of a quantitative approach are the hypothesis, they intend to show a cause and effect, and the measurement of the subjects. Design and procedure. This study follows the quasi-experimental design. This is a quasi-experimental design since the aim of this design is to measure the subjects before and after a treatment. Particularly, the time series design has to do with a single group which is measured before and after a treatment. The procedure of this research was to select the participant first, in the first stage. As I said, it was assigned in the internship experience. Then they have to be measured 3 times with a pre-test. Then the intervention, which is a set of lessons in a period of time of 5 weeks. The researcher has to employ the strategy in a unit of the syllable. And then the final steps are the measurement of the subjects. After the treatment, it is important to mention that the pre and post test are a list of words that the students have to record in a lab session with the researcher. The participants have up to 3 times to record the different words and then to send them to the researcher. The sample. And the class was compounded by 43 students. of the 12th grade. The age range is between 16 and 19 years old, and the English proficiency level is pre-intermediate. Research materials. For this research, the important aspects to measure here are pronunciation, pedagogical translation, and interference. Pronunciation and interference. Pronunciation is seen as the expected pronunciation that the student should acquire in the process. And interference should be the absence of the aspiration in the plosive sounds. These elements are going to be measured with a pre and post test. They have to be compared with the spectrogram and the researcher recorded previously. And the pedagogical translation technique is going to be observed as the use of the technique in the sessions, with the purposes of giving students instructions and solving doubts. These criteria are going to be checked with a checklist, and so the teacher has to use this technique in the different parts of the lesson. This analysis technique, according to Maki and Gas, the inferential statistic aim is to generalize the finding. Within the inferential statistic, there is parametric statistic, which deals with the parameters of the finding. Then two tests are going to be used. Analysis technique is going to be used. First, the parity test, which aim is to compare the subject's possible change before and after the treatment. They are compared with their own production, their own production. After having this finding, it is necessary to use a square test, which aim is to determine the importance of this variation, if there is any. Consideration of transporters. This study is feasible because it was possible to gather the information in the allotted time in the internship experience. It's also reliable because the words chosen came up with after the search with the literature. They are not randomly chosen. And also because the spectrogram used here is objective. And the validity of this study has to do with because he gathered the information of different subjects with different backgrounds, which is important to give the validation of the study. Expected outcomes. The expected result of this study is to corroborate or deny the hypothesis, and the expected contributions has to do with the use of the technique in the classroom, and also
You need to go faster. You need to go faster.
okay, and the limitation. Okay, the limitation of this study has to do with the generalizability, because in order to be generalizable, the subjects has to have the same characteristic of the ones of the used in this research.